The first week of October every year is Body-Focused Repetitive Behaviors Week. Those behaviors can be anything from biting your nails to picking at your hair, and it actually affects a lot of people. As many as 1 in 20 people have one of these behaviors. Joining us now today with a little more information on these behaviors, we check in with Dr. Bernardi, the director of Lakeside Center for Behavioral Change. Dr. Bernardi, welcome back to the show.
Good morning. Thank you for having me, and thank you for talking about this very important topic that does affect millions and millions of people.
I feel like with so many topics that we visit with you about, there is a stigma around it, but it really does affect a lot of people. So can you just start by kind of breaking down what it is?
So BFRBs, Body-Focused Repetitive Behaviors. There's a great website too, which is BFRB.org. But learning more about BFRBs, the one that you mentioned already is trichotillomania, and that is compulsive hair pulling. Compulsive skin picking is another form of a BFRB. These are the two that we see most often in our office. It's myself and my colleague Kristen, but there are other types of BFRBs: nail biting, cuticle manicuring, eating of the hair and skin, biting the cheeks and lip, compulsively cutting one's hair also falls under the category of a BFRB.
Well, that is very interesting. So what are some of the signs or symptoms besides, you kind of broke down, but what are some more facts about, you hear nail biting or pulling on your hair? There must be different levels.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a great question. Most of us engage in some type of grooming behavior, right? So we check and we maybe pull out a hair that looks a little different or see a pimple and mess with it a bit. That's different than a body-focused repetitive behavior. This is where people engage in these behaviors, but they're not able to stop, which results in skin damage, hair loss, things that can create a lot of emotional consequences for people as well. So these compulsive hair pulling affects between 3 and 9 million people. Skin picking, we're just learning more about, but about 2 to 5% of the population. Typically, these behaviors start in childhood or adolescence. Kind of that puberty age is where we tend to see, especially trichotillomania begin. And the numbers are about the same in boys and girls. But as people grow up and become adults, they tend to affect women more than they affect men. So there is some recent research that may show that that gap may not be as big as we used to think between men and women, but it does tend to affect women more than men.
Can this be treated?
BFRBs can be treated, absolutely. And there's lots of strategies that we use in therapy to treat someone's body-focused repetitive behavior. So first, we start off with an assessment because no two people are exactly the same. We also talk about psychoeducation and talk about treatment expectations. So when people start, oftentimes they'll say, oh, I want to stop pulling or I want to stop picking at my skin. And there's lots of ways that we can decrease that behavior, but there's lots of contributing variables that lead to why people pick their skin or pull their hair. So we teach a lot of emotional coping skills. There's a whole comprehensive treatment model called COMB that includes lots of acronyms, like the one you see there, SCAMP, which looks at the sensory component, the cognitive component, the affective component, the motor component, what's the place, where do people engage in these behaviors? So it's a very comprehensive treatment plan. Unfortunately, at this stage, there are no FDA-approved medications for body-focused repetitive behaviors. There has been some research into nutraceuticals, which essentially are like vitamins, amino acids, that have shown some promising results. But really, it's important to assess the behavior, figure out what the function of that behavior is, so then we can focus on treatment to get those needs met within somebody's body in a way that doesn't involve compulsively pulling hair or picking skin.
And can you expand as well? We know we want to get treatment, but talk about the consequences of not getting treatment. They can be pretty significant.
We do see a lot of what's called comorbid conditions along with body focused repetitive behaviors. So now these can either contribute to the body focused repetitive behavior or be the result of it. So a lot of people experience a lot of shame and avoidance behavior, anxiety, depression, substance abuse that can result from untreated body focused repetitive behaviors. So it is important to understand that this is a medical condition. People can't just stop if you notice this behavior starting in your child or adolescent. It's the parent is like, why are you doing that? Knock it off. But that won't work. So it's really important to understand that this does require some specialized skills, and people can really feel good about themselves as they live well with their BFRB.
Before we let you go, can you tell us, repeat once again, you said there was a great website that you could take a look at and see if some of these are fitting into your life, and how can people get a hold of you as well if they know they maybe need treatment for this?
People can always contact me. I will point you in the right direction for what you're looking to work on. So lakesidecenter.org is my website. My telephone number is there, 701-356-1047. For more information, there are a few different fantastic organizations, but the one that has probably the most information on it is BFRB.org. That's the TLC Foundation for Body Focused Repetitive Behaviors.
Wow, great conversation, and great to just kind of put it out there and let people look at their own lives on this as well. Dr. Bernardi, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Stay with us. Coming up next, we're talking with 4-star ninja on North Dakota Today.